In a small, quiet town nestled beneath the shadow of an ancient forest, there lived a 17-year-old girl named Rachel. She was a cheerful and kind-hearted young lady, beloved by her family and friends. But destiny had a sinister plan for her that she couldn't have possibly foreseen. One fateful evening, Rachel was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Her heart was failing her, and her parents were distraught, fearing the worst. Days passed in agonizing uncertainty until the call finally came. A heart transplant was available. It was a slim glimmer of hope in their darkest hour. Little did they know that the heart they were about to transplant into Rachel had once belonged to a notorious serial killer named Jake Kenner. Just days ago, Jake had met his end on the executioner's table, but his malevolent legacy lived on in his heart. At first, Rachel's recovery seemed miraculous. She was healthier than ever before, and her family rejoiced. But beneath the surface, an insidious transformation was taking place. Unbeknownst to Rachel or her loved ones, the darkness of Jake Kenner's soul had somehow transferred with the heart. In the beginning, Rachel felt nothing unusual, yet slowly but surely, sinister thoughts and urges crept into her mind. She found herself obsessively thinking about harming others, especially women. The desires were alien, horrifying, and entirely out of her control. Desperate to understand and free herself from this malevolent grip, Rachel sought help from a therapist. But as she poured out her troubled thoughts, the therapist offered little solace. The therapist was unaware of the true depth of the darkness that had taken root within Rachel. As days turned into weeks, Rachel's transformation accelerated. The girl her family and friends knew and loved was vanishing, replaced by a malevolent monster that reveled in the pain and suffering of others. It wasn't long before her once beloved family and friends became her targets. One chilling evening, Rachel lured her unsuspecting therapist into a trap. With a cold, calculating demeanor, she kidnapped and killed the therapist, leaving behind a gruesome scene that sent shockwaves through the town. Her rampage through the town was relentless, and the once peaceful community was now a nightmare. One by one, Rachel's closest companions fell victim to her sinister desires, and the town lived in constant fear of her next move. One fateful night, her own mother confronted her, her eyes filled with tears and despair. In one hand, Rachel concealed a knife ready to strike at any moment. "What has happened to me, Mom?" Rachel whispered, her voice quivering. Her mother's heart ached as she looked into the eyes of the daughter she once knew and loved. But the malevolence still lurked within Rachel. As her mother hesitated, Rachel lunged forward, the hidden knife flashing in her hand. With a heavy heart, her mother pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed through the darkened house, sealing Rachel's tragic fate. Her lifeless body fell to the ground, and her family was left to grapple with the horrors of what their beloved daughter had become. They buried Rachel in the cemetery, her once bright future now forever tainted by the sinister heart of Jake Kenner. The town would never forget the horrors that had unfolded, and the memory of the sweet girl who had been lost to darkness would haunt their nightmares for years to come. Late that night in bed, a heavy sense of dread hung over Rachel's mother. She couldn't shake the chilling thought of other donated body parts from the notorious serial killer. What horrors could those transplants unleash upon unsuspecting recipients, and could the darkness still continue? Terror and despair overcame her, and she muttered in a trembling voice, "Oh God, no." She's left with haunting questions and an unsettling fear of what the future might hold. Like and subscribe for more spooky stories.